go, damn, I'm so ugly and I can't sing. I just, seriously,
Every day.
Look at this. So when I looked, I was trying to find some information on you because we have some things to talk about. You are going to be the one and only interview. When I looked on Wikipedia, it said you were 5'10". And then you walked in and you're 6'4". And
Don't trust the internet.
I was like, and it said that you owe $20 million. And you said that wasn't true.
That's also
yeah, that's not true. Anyway. But it was when you walked in, and I was like, this is so great. First of all, your schedule is ridiculous, and it was like such a small window to get you on the show because you're touring. Just tell, for those people who, how many people have seen Daniel in concert? First of all, really love him. Yeah. So, Daniel, where are you going to be tomorrow? Like you did.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you again for having me on the show because I am so proud to be here today, to be here with you, and to be here with all of our wonderful friends here in the room, and to be home for once in my life these days. As you said, I've been very, very blessed to have a very full schedule, especially over the past year and a half. Tomorrow, I will head to St. George, Utah, where I'll be performing with Marie Osmond on Friday night. And then on Saturday, I will head to Palm Springs, California, where I'll be performing with David Foster and Catherine McPhee.
I'll be here in 2 weeks. Anyway. My career is taken off. So we were talking, all the people, we're going to talk a little dish about the Jordan. We have plenty of pictures. When you were sent over a whole bunch of pictures, and I said, I'm going to show all of them. And you're like, all of them? And I'm like, yes, these people, what else we got to do?
What did you get sent?
Well, pretty much. Let's talk about some of the people you've worked with. David Foster, let's get to it. How did you meet David Foster, of all people? Did he hear you first, or how did that connection happen?
So
can we show some pictures, Terry, as we're going along too?
They're working on it. So David Foster, of course, is a huge hero of mine. The man's won 16 Grammys and discovered and or produced every major artist that I grew up loving. People like Josh Groban, Andre Bocelli, Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, you name it, Michael Bublé, everybody, like just all the greats. And now I get to sing on his stage. And it's a really out-of-body experience because the very first song I ever sang in public when I was 16 years old for the Nevada Childhood Cancer Foundation's gala here in town when I was in high school was You Raise Me Up. That was made famous by Josh Groban. And now I get to sing that song with the man who produced it every night we're on stage.
You're from New York City.
Upstate New York, but yes. I love New York City. I wish I could claim that too, but just the state.
How did you get from there to here?
I moved with my family when I was 15 years old. My father and his work relocated out this way. And
were you singing, when did you professionally say, I'm going to be a singer? How does this happen?
When I moved here.
Yes.
It's the city that inspired me, and that's not a lie. So, all right, you ready for this crazy? This is also another full circle moment. The very first show I ever saw in town here was Donnie and Marie.
You started at the top because to me, that's the pinnacle right there. It doesn't get much better than that. Donnie and Marie, the best.
Yep, I moved here in 2008, right when their residency was taking off at the Flamingo. That was the very first show I saw, and now, X amount of years later, I get to sing on stage with Marie.
We were talking backstage, I said, does it when Marie calls you on the phone, and you still get that, like, oh, it's Marie, right?
Oh, you still get goosebumps. It still takes you a second to register, like, yes, I did just have a phone conversation with a music superstar. It never gets normal, but one thing is so sweet about Marie and about David and everyone that I've been so lucky to work with is that they are so nice, down-to-earth, real people. Exactly the genuine generosity and sweet nature that you see on stage, that's who they are off stage. It's amazing.
Do we have any pictures, or is it broken, Terry? Okay, we'll get to it. So we'll show all 20 pictures at once.
There's one.
Oh, we got one? All right, there you are. That's David Foster. There we go. So let me ask you this. Now that you're working with everybody, because I'm just going to hop around here. Your first show professionally, how did you hook up with Keith Thompson? How did that happen?
So
you all know Keith Thompson, he's on the show numerous times.
So when I came back from college, after being studying voice in Orange County, California, the very first show I performed in Las Vegas was at the Composer Showcase. And after that, when I met Keith and Phil, of course, Phil Fortenberry, tremendously talented pianist, am I right?
Yes.
So Phil and I had the chance to do a couple joint concerts at what is now known as Myron's at the Smith Center. So that was my very first real show in Las Vegas, was with Phil and by extension with Keith. And then I had a few shows of my own over at the Space and different shows like that. And then I was a part of a great show at Caesar's Palace. My first real Vegas gig, as it were, was part of Cocktail Cabaret.
Now, how did you make the transition from Cocktail Cabaret? Did you hear about? You obviously watched the show, NGT, and did you have to stand in those lines, or did you know somebody to get you through? Or how was the process? Because Michael has his own story. What was your story?
It was so long ago now that I don't really remember exactly how that process was, because the entire thing is such a joy and a rush and a blur and stressful and anxiety-inducing in all the best ways that I don't really remember how it happened. I just remember being on stage.
Did they give you a whole? Because did they audition? You know how?
But yes, there's a long process of audition that goes on. You have to pass X amount of sniff tests and be in front of different producers and different whatevers before you are allowed to walk on and sing in front of Simon Cowell. But it's a long, wonderful experience, and I'm very lucky that I passed said tests, and I got the chance to walk out in front of Simon, Heidi, Mel B, and Howie, and all of America.
And you slayed, and here you are, a major superstar. You were talking backstage about certain things that you have to remind me of. When did you realize, what was that moment when you became, you knew you were a star? Like, did something happen to you?
I don't know if I'm a star or anything, but I will never forget the first time I was recognized in public.
Yes.
And that was a weird new experience for me. It was the day after my very first audition on America's Got Talent aired, where, if any of you saw that episode as well, not that episode, but, oh, sorry, that's Lionel Richie, never mind. That was also a really crazy, wild experience that we'll talk about in a minute. But when I stepped out on stage in front of Simon Cowell the first time, I sang an original song in Italian. First mistake. If anyone in our audience is thinking about auditioning for America's Got Talent, American Idol, whatever, don't do an original song. It's not.
Didn't he stop you? He heard you sing another song.
He did. So Simon stopped me in the middle of it, and it was, I wish I'd known this in that moment, but it's because he heard something he wanted to hear more of, but he had a specific song in mind that he wanted me to sing, which I had never heard before. The song was in Italian. And Simon only gave me about 57 minutes to go backstage and learn it, and then sing it on TV.
I remember I watched it last week, and I thought, what is going through your head? How can you go
Panic. Panic.
But it was effortless, like you've been doing the song forever, and I said, good for you. There are so many things. The people that are now recognizing you, and your looks, and your charm, and all of it, tell me the craziest fan story. What happened to you? You said you have a story about something that came to you.
This is the same story, actually. So right after that first audition aired, the next morning, I was driving to LA for a gig, and I was filling up my car with gas, and I'll never forget this. A bright blue Mustang zipped in right in front of me, driving way too fast to be in a gas station, to be honest. And this lady jumped out of it and went to go fill her car with gas, and we locked eyes. And she ran at me. Like, beelined it. I was like, am I on fire? What's going on? I don't know what's happening. And she comes up to me in a very thick European accent. She goes, oh my God, I have to tell you. You have the most beautiful voice. I watched you last night on the TV, and I will vote for you. I love you so much. I have to go. She did not fill her car with gas. She did not shut the gas tank. She just jumped in the car and drove away. So I really hope, if you're out there, that I didn't leave you on the side of the road with a car without gas.
It's your fault.
Yes.
So being on the show and then coming back as a wild card, correct? Which
Yes, the journey of my America's Got Talent experience continued with its roller coaster of emotions. In that first episode, I had learned a brand new song. The next episode, they cut me from the show. But then they brought me.
Can you imagine cutting him from a show? Like, what kind of dumbass does that? I mean, seriously. Like, you hear this kid saying, you go, yeah, not good enough. What are you thinking about? I mean, did you think that? Did you think you didn't do good? I mean, what was going on in your head?
That's an interesting question, because as you know, as an entertainer and as a performer, it's very hard to judge your own performances.
Yeah.
You just go out there, and if you know that you've given it everything you have, that's the best you can do in the day, and you hope it spoke to somebody. Obviously, it did not speak to the judges as much as I would have liked it to. But I was very fortunate that they brought me back as a wild card, and I got to return to the America's Got Talent stage for the quarterfinals and sing what was probably my favorite song I've ever done on TV, which was "I Don't Want to Miss a Thing" by Aerosmith, but we got to do it in Spanish. And it was so much fun. I'd never had a production like that. They put flaming cannons and confetti and everything around me, you name it. I was like, woo!
That lady from the gas station.
She was right there.
She was right there. So let me ask you, so we were talking about your background. You're a whole bunch of, you're German and you're Italian. Like there's 20 things in you, right?
Most of Europe.
Yeah, most of Europe, yeah. You never did the spit thing, right? You don't want to know. The spit thing, you spit into the cup and then they sent it back. And like I found out that my